So I am so excited today to have a special guest here, and definitely around our Tip Tuesday segment for Let Go Dash Be Great. And this month in July, we are doing a special challenge called the Power to Respond Challenge, which is around all about responding versus reacting to things that happen to you, and not just in your personal spaces, but around the things that happen to you at work. And I am so excited to have one guest here in the virtual room this morning, Miss Roxy Rimmer. And I called on Roxy because in this Power to Respond challenge, we are really focusing in on a story that I wrote called What Color Suits You July, where July has to paint so many different colors in the spaces that she's in. And Roxy, who is here, really specializes in something that I love, which is color theory. And I want her to really introduce herself. And then I'm going to start asking her some questions, especially as it relates to colors that July paints, colors that we wear, colors also around our verbal and our nonverbal pieces that are in the spaces that we're in. So I'm going to hand it over to Roxy. Roxy, introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Well, I'm Roxy Rimmer. I am the founder of Hearts2Headlines, which focuses on emotional branding. And the whole thing when it comes to the psychology of colors and color theory and all things that brighten and lighten up the world uh, is that we are influenced by color. 90% of any decision is based off of the colors we see alone. So we can influence how someone feels about us when they talk to us just by the color of the shirt you choose to wear or the accents you wear. And Tamika, I know you love all your colorful glasses and your earrings. You know all these things about color theory and how important it is. And the best part to me is that anyone can apply this to their business, themselves, anything they're trying to represent. And you can start today. You just go in your closet, you see what your colors mean. Like I'm wearing orange, and orange is the color for creativity, for enthusiasm. It's my favorite confidence color, as I like to put it. But and I know you're gonna love this, but like I change my colors based off of who I'm talking to, what I want them to feel when they're interacting with me. I have all my different colors that I like to change it up because I know the power of color when talking to someone. So I love to change my color based on who I'm talking to, what my goals are, and how I want someone to feel when they're interacting with me, which is a lot like how you're in your book. July is based on her colors are based on how she feels about any given situation, right?
Oh my goodness. So Roxy, first off, I did not know you were gonna pull out glasses.
Oh, heck
I
yeah.
didn't know. So you're gonna have to drop that in a link. Tell us where you get those glasses from because I need them in my life to have a reversible thing. All of that. So I don't know if anybody else is thinking that same thing. I am.
That's
So
shock value right there, coming
yes,
hot.
yes, I love it. I love it. So yes, please, where did you get those from? Tell us now.
Hair eyewear. I don't,
Hair wear.
yeah, I
Okay,
don't get
I'm gonna write that
expensive
down.
glasses. I just change up based on what I'm wearing. That's how you do it.
Oh,
Oh my
I
gosh.
love it. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So Roxy just dropped a whole bunch of stuff on us just right now, which is amazing. One of the things that she said is that sometimes colors, you can choose the color that you want to represent who you are or what you are at that moment. And I'm so glad she said that because in this story, there were definite colors that July had to paint based on what she felt. And so, Roxy, I know you talked about the orange, in terms of the color that you were bringing, and you said that it represents creativity. What about some of the other colors? Like as you have done work with different brands, what colors do you see are the ones that many brands are leaning towards, and why do you think that is?
Well, what's so interesting to me is you can take one color. Let's say you take green and it stands for stability, growth, renewal. And if you go from a dark green to a light green, it suddenly changes the meaning a little bit. So now we're getting more, light green is more tranquility, refreshment, starting something new, a new journey per se. And just that little change in the hue can make a different impact on how people react to that color. The lighter the color, the more think of something that's fresh or new or refreshing or trustworthy or something of a light feeling. And the darker a color is, it's more sophistication, established, something that is based in knowledge or has been foundational for a long time. I always go with orange because it's an excitement color. It makes people feel energized. And I love doing that when I go into a room to see how people react to different colors and test them out, see how different people react for different things. But it's so powerful to find a color that matches the message you're trying to give. Blue is another common color because it's trust, reliability, loyalty. And of course, when we're talking to someone, we want to feel like we can trust them. So it's all about finding that color that helps push your brand forward, whether that's your business, your nonprofit, or yourself. What are your goals to come out of any given conversation?
I love that. And I love also that you mentioned one of the words I know that's in this challenge, which is reacting. And I know you're saying that, sometimes we react to the colors. And in this story in particular, there's reaction that comes elicited with an emotion. And
Hmm.
talked about, trust and, the loyalty particular thing. And in the story, blue doesn't represent that, right? And so it's very interesting with how things, are, but then also how things are portrayed in this particular story. And one of the things that I want to, ask you more about is in terms of sometimes there may be things that are happening that we can't see, right? We see our colors.
Hmm.
So what if you are in a blue phase and you're wearing blue, but what you feel could be sorrow, could be grief, but what you are portraying because of the reaction is trust and loyalty. So, have you seen things where maybe I feel a certain way, right? And maybe this color represents this. What is the dichotomy there? And like, how do you get a chance? Because if you react to the color, right, but
Yeah.
you're responding in a different way than what your color says, I don't know where I'm going with this, but like, what are those things? What do you see within that? Because that's a dichotomy, right? That's,
Yeah.
that's something that's there. So, can you speak to even color theory around that?
Oh, I can. Oh, I could talk
I
for
can't hear
hours,
you.
Tamiko. I can just, you can hear me?
Okay, yes, now I can.
Okay. I was gonna say I could talk for hours about this too, Miko. You knew I could. That's why I'm here. Um,
Yeah.
but what you're talking about is color therapy. So
Mm.
there is think about purple. We use purple for relaxation. There are certain colors that therapists will use to make you feel a certain way because we know we react to color. Red is a stimulating color. It makes us anxious. It can make us angry. It can make us feel certain ways. So you're never going to see the color red in a doctor's office or in a therapist's office. That this is all intentional. This all happens for a reason. You will see red in a McDonald's because it stimulates you to buy French fries. It makes you want more. That's what the color does. And all of these brands use it very intentionally. So should we. We are brands. And when you think about blues, greens, these are all cool tones that they're supposed to be more relaxing. They're supposed to make you feel a certain way and can help alleviate stress or anxiety or even grief. But what you're saying is kind of interesting because it's we can wear a color and we could not feel that way ourselves, but we're influencing those around us.
Mhm.
And what I like to I teach about confidence colors because when I put on orange, I know how it's making other people feel, but it also does something for myself. It makes me want to feel powerful. It makes me feel confident because I know how it's influencing those around me. So if you want to feel more loyal or trustworthy and you're wearing blue, you can train your brain to kind of encase that. Like, this is my confidence color. I wear blue because I want people to trust me. And that kind of helps because it once you see the results, once you start to see it working, when someone says, like, that was a really great conversation, I believe everything you're telling me. You know, these little things, these nuances that are happening subconsciously. We're not always doing it intentionally. It's not on the surface, but it's at work. It really helps us grow in our business, ourselves, and our emotions to understand how to feel about any given situation.
Oh, I love that, Roxy. And I'm so glad we got this recorded because I'm going to have to look back at it to hear and also to make sure that we reiterate during this challenge as well. So, what are some things that you think people each day could consider as they are choosing the color they want to wear? What are, maybe two or three things that you could say that they could do for that, especially if they may be feeling a certain way and want to portray or want to, bring in the room these other
Yeah.
particular things?
Well, I always say we can't always be happy, right? And just
Right.
because you wear yellow, which is a friendly, bright color, doesn't mean you have to force yourself to be happy every single day. But we should live in our emotions. We should embrace how we feel. And if we want to make other people feel happy, you wear yellow. You can wear yellow, but you can also wear pink. You can also wear orange. You can also wear all these other colors that can make everyone else feel a certain way when they interact with you. But know that in yourself, this is how you want to feel, or this is how you're going to work on feeling. Because, like I said, it's a therapy. We use colors to make ourselves feel a certain way as we are doing the same thing to all those around us. So it's kind of like anything. You have to train your brain. You have to work at it. You have to think consciously about what you're doing. But I will tell you, it makes shopping so much easier for me because I say I have a presentation to give. I'm going to go find blue. Let's go find that blue that I want. And it makes shopping so much easier because I don't have those jitters of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to wear? I have to look trendy. I have to be fashionable. I'd rather dress with intention than dress to be fashionable. So that's how I approach everything I do in the color theory world.
And I'm so glad you said that because intentionality is something I want all of us to be aware of. If we are intentional about how it is we're portraying ourselves, right? How it is we want other people to portray what it is that we're doing, and also being intentional too around like these responding and reacting moments. So I'm so glad you said that. Is there one thing, like a tip that you want people to remember, especially around this intentionality piece, as it relates to color theory or color therapy, as you talked about too?
Yeah. I'll give you a fun one. It'll probably annoy a few people, but patterns are bad for business.
Talk
So
more about that.
you're like, oh no, I gotta go look at my closet.
Okay, pattern. Yes. What about patterns?
So, if everything I'm saying relates to how the brain perceives information, how our senses react to something, when you have a pattern, you're combining a bunch of different colors, you're combining layers to something. It's making it a lot more complex. Our brain sees any pattern like a puzzle, it's something that needs to be solved. So, if you're talking to me and my shirt has this big pattern with all these different colors and designs on it, your brain subconsciously is trying to solve what the heck is happening on my shirt. Whereas you're not hearing what I'm saying. You're not going to remember my name. You're not going to remember anything that happened up here because your brain, even if your eyes are looking at me, your brain is like, what is going on down there? What is all this? And if you watch the news anchors almost never wear patterns. They never wear patterns because what they're saying is important and they want you to hear what they're saying. Same thing goes for presentations. If you're presenting and you have a pattern, someone's brain is focused on that pattern. So I'm not saying get rid of your pattern. Save that for the picnics, save that for date night. But when you're presenting, or if you're teaching, or if you're trying to win over a business meeting of any sort, wear a solid color so that the focus is happening right up here. And it'll very much help the outcome of whatever you're hoping to get out of that conversation.
Ooh, I love that. Oh my, go ahead, Rock. I am so happy we have you in this space. I'm thinking of so much in here. Like, oh my goodness, when did I wear this versus this, and how did that presentation go?
Well,
So
you have your confidence suit, you have your blue suit
yes,
that you
yes.
wear, and it does everything it should be doing for you.
That's true. That is true. That is true. And I'm even looking at what I'm wearing here too. Like even though it's a solid color, there are several patterns in here. So,
Mhm.
my wonder is, even if you wear something solid and there are patterns on the solid thing, does it still trigger your brain to do the things that you're saying too? That's a wonder as
Yeah.
well.
Definitely not as much. But like
Gotcha.
I said, a lot of the words I'm using is feel, perceive, influence. This is all happening subconsciously. So there are enough studies to show that this is what the outcome is. This is how people retain information. But I
Mhm.
can't say like, yep, my brain just sees your shirt. I can't put that into words per se, but I know from all of our studies that this is how people feel when they see pattern versus a solid color.
Nice. Oh my god. So, Roxy, one, you have educated us today. I would definitely say that. You have educated us in terms of color theory, in terms of color therapy, in terms of perception, and also in terms of reaction. And then threw in another added tip about patterns that I'm sure was probably the first that many of us have heard before. I am so grateful that you had this time this morning to actually talk about each of these things. How can people get in contact with you to either do some hearts to headlines work, to either, do a presentation around this color therapy, color anything? How can we get in contact with you?
Yeah, well, just head over to hearts2headlines.com. You can email me at hello@hearts2headlines.com. And we're also very prominent on Instagram. I put all my focus on Instagram, less so all the other platforms because we're limited on our time, right? But there are many ways to reach me. I love talking about color or even just talking to people about their branding and what it says about their organization. Sometimes I feel like I'm one of those like the crystal ball looking into what does this say about an organization, right? I don't need you to tell me what it's about, but your colors speak wonders. And if they're not sharing the right message, then you're not reaching the right audience.
Mhm.
And that's my bread and butter. I love talking about this stuff with everyone and anyone who wants to learn about color theory because it's free. It's one of the
Nice.
best free marketing tools out there.
So true. And the Hearts 2 headlines, is it TO or the number 2?
It's the number two.
Number
Hearts
2.
to headlines.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Roxy, today for all of your insight. Cannot wait to have you back on here to really talk about some other let go dash be great things. But definitely today, you have definitely provided a lot of insight in terms of this color particular pieces, especially the colors that we portray and the colors, especially that July is portraying in the story as well. Thank you so much again.
Love being here. Thanks, Miko.